keep it all the way 100. There's not many people that look like me as young as I am that gets the opportunity to run a global company like Kickstarter.
Boom.
You know what I mean? It's a superpower, man.
Yeah.
Like, when you are authentic to yourself, like, I stand out, right? Because I know there's not a lot of cats like me, so I stand out. I'm memorable to people, and it's been a superpower because I kind of cut my teeth in marketing. And marketing, the power of marketing is really just understanding people.
Business Untitled. We've been on a summer break. We're coming at you from Amagansett, New York, in the Hamptons, with Everette Taylor. Born in Richmond. I'm a Virginia guy. He's a Virginia guy. Currently CEO of Kickstarter, but has had a hell of a journey. And so, Everette, thanks a lot for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Beautiful out here, too, man.
Mel, what about his co-stars?
Well.
There it goes again.
Well,
There it goes again.
wait. He actually had a brilliant idea last week that we should rename the podcast something new every time we do it. And since this is the first one back, and we are back, and I feel really good about that, I thought of the first name. We had Mike home in the Hamptons. And this podcast, under Business Untitled, is called Mike and his two young kids.
Let's check out Dave's new haircut. Give it up.
Yeah,
He watched a lot of
looking
European
good.
soccer. If anyone watched the Euros, every single star had that same haircut. Dave was inspired, and I got to say, he looks 10 years younger.
Nice.
What do you think, Mel?
He definitely does. You
I
think you
love
could
it.
pull that off?
I'm thinking about it.
a little off the
Just
sides?
a little tighter on the sides.
Yeah.
So, Richmond.
Richmond, yeah.
Tell us about
804.
growing up in Richmond.
Yeah, man. Richmond, I'm very proud to be from there. Southside, in particular, I grew up, pretty much predominantly Black and Latino neighborhood. Grew up in the projects with my mom and my sister. My mom worked nights, so I really had to take care of things, take care of my sister at a young age. And, I was actually talking about this with my therapist recently, but, like, it created my ability to compartmentalize, because, like, a normal kid would come home from school and it's like, oh, what happened? What went wrong? And your mom is there to kind of, like, comfort you. And I, like, had to just figure things out on my own. So it made me, like, super independent. It made me super, like, just always trying to figure things out. But it also allowed me to run the streets because my mom wasn't around. She was in doing work. And so I got into a lot of, can I curse on this podcast?
Yeah.
I got into a lot of shit. I got into a lot of shit.
We have a curse jar.
We have a curse jar. You got to pay $75.
$20.
Okay, bet. So I got into a lot of stuff that I probably shouldn't have been getting into very, very young. And, like, my early influences were, like, just people that was hustling, around Broad Rock, around Hillside, things like that. And, like, I saw them have nice things. And I'm, like, over here with, like, Payless shoes and, hand-me-down clothes. And I was like, man, I want them Jordans. I want that Rockaware. I want that Coogee. Probably terrible fashion choices now. But, like, at the time, it was hot, and I wanted that stuff. And so I got into the streets a little bit when I was young, started getting into selling drugs at an early age. And fortunately for my mom, she ended up finding some stuff in the house, and I probably was never slapped harder ever in my life. And she forced me to get a job. I was 14 years old, and that first job was a marketing job, and that completely changed my life because I worked in a space with people that had, like, traveled, and I got to experience different people, and I was like, my life was within a few block radius. Mel, you could relate to this. Like, it's such a big world out there, and it just expanded my whole purview of things. But, man, Richmond was cool. It made me tough as hell, man.
Right. It's funny you say that because, like, I spoke about this on the podcast, and, like, a lot of things, like, growing up in the hood, like, the person you aspire to be is the drug dealer on the corner, because that we didn't know Mike Novogratz, Dave Barry's, or anybody outside. That was the guy with the most money, the most girls, the jewelry. Yeah. He might have had a barbershop. Everybody has a barbershop when they get successful in the hood. Yeah. So it's like, to hear you say that from Virginia, it's like, damn, it's kind of like the same in every ghetto.
What is it about every city, the South Side is the bad side? Is that
true? I don't know.
There's something there.
Man, Northside was bad too. Richmond was.
Yeah, where did you get that from?
South
No,
side of Chicago.
Because they sing about the south side of Chicago,
Yeah.
and there's a couple of songs. I wanted to ask though, because relative to Mel, you ended up streets and you hustled, right? But you ended up at Virginia Tech, right?
Yeah, I ended
so
up at
how did
Virginia
that
Tech.
switch happen from streets to Virginia Tech? Because that's a real school, and
Yeah,
to get in there
some
in
would
3
say.
years.
Yeah, so it's crazy. Actually, me, my mom, and my sister, we ended up homeless during my senior year of high school, and during that time, like I was living out of my car, and when I
How
was,
long was that for?
Like 9-10 months.
A pretty long time.
Yeah. So I'm living out of my car, and I used to go to. We was living in this area called Broad Rock in Southside Richmond, and there was the Broad Rock Public Library, and so during that time, I would go to the Broad Rock Public Library because I was living out of a car that didn't work, so it'd be like mad cold in the car and things like that. So I was just trying to get shelter. So I would go into the local library, close at 6-7 o'clock, and I just went there for shelter. And I would use the computers inside the library. And I didn't really grow up with technology and computers and things like that. I remember getting the AOL disc in the mail, and I was like, I can't even use this. And so I started just like kind of Google, probably using like Yahoo. And I started looking at like AOL News, Yahoo News, and I started seeing people like Mark Zuckerberg, Jack Dorsey, all this like tech stuff. And,
Did you see Mike Novogratz?
I didn't see Mike Novogratz. You know what I mean? Honestly, if you was wearing that shirt already, I probably would have.
It's Olympics. Opening ceremony of the Olympics today, USA.
We know he has American pride. So I see these cats and like, Mel, you probably can relate to this as well. I mean, I tried to rap, like I was like, man, my bars is trash. Like I'm not.
I tried to rap once
You know what
too.
I mean? Like
Somewhere hidden.
Yeah, I got some embarrassing bars
separated
somewhere.
birth.
Yeah.
And then I played ball too, but I was very realistic. I knew I wasn't going to the league, and so to me, tech presented this opportunity. I was like, wow, and I started digging some more, and I found World Star Hip Hop. And I was like, oh, a black guy runs this. Like, oh, you can actually have a website. You can actually be in this online space.
R.I.P. to Jay.
Yeah. And so, it just inspired me. So I Googled like tech schools in Virginia, and Virginia Tech came up.
Tech schools in
And
Virginia.
literally,
That's crazy.
Yeah, I saw that, and then I'm player, so I still had a girlfriend, even homeless. So I got the girl I was seeing to like literally do my application and send my application in for Virginia Tech. And it was the only school I applied to, and I got in.
That's fucking dope.
And no, just so you know, from Virginia Tech's a hard school to get into, right? You
Yeah.
got UVA, William & Mary, Virginia Tech. Those are like the top three.
Yeah. I was number 2 in my class before I was homeless too. Actually,
Wow.
Yeah, and then they dropped, but yeah.
So you was really book smart. I love that.
I think
So,
I was.
like-
I don't know if I was book smart. I was just like, I don't know. I just caught on to things super fast.
So we ran into each other like a couple times, like Zero Bond, but we never really like. I think we spoke last time for maybe 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Just now on the plane on the way here was the first time we were speaking, and I just know you as the CEO of this huge company, dress cool. So I automatically just assumed Sky is fucking probably went to Harvard, Yale, something. And on the plane, this word is obviously words we can use, not you two ever. I was talking to him and I was like, oh shit, he's a nigga. I'm like, he's not like a
That might be a
square.
swear jar.
And I was like, and you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know exactly what you
do I
mean.
mean when I say that?
Because like, all right, man,
We can
it's
figure
like
that out.
coming from Brooklyn,
No, I'm
coming
saying
from
for the
Richmond,
audience.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't even finish college. I dropped out of school, but like for me, I meet black people sometimes where I can't even relate to them. Like their
Same thing.
vernacular is different, their whole vibe is different, and so it's you joke to like, oh, Mel, long lost twins. Like when you have two black men that have had similar experiences and have a similar swag and a similar, feel to them, you just know it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's what he means. It's not like we're just authentic
Yeah, on
to
the plane it
ourselves.
was like, I see you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? It'd be the equivalent of me and Mike being like, you're a wrestler.
Yeah.
It's funny.
'Cause
It's
it's
funny. I
very-
had Nate Parker here
Yeah.
last weekend, and we were sitting right there in the corner chatting, and we'd gone to the ocean, and Nate's not a great swimmer, but he can swim. And I was like, what'd you learn to swim? And he said, like, this guy grew up right around Virginia Beach. But he said, we never left the projects. We never went to the beach.
Yeah.
Black guys don't swim. And that was what they grew up in. So
Can you swim?
I can't swim, man.
You're a pretty terrible. You're a pretty terrible swimmer.
Hey, I was on that seaplane like, yo, this nothing bad can happen.
Nate learned for a movie, but I was shocked. He said, well, I wasn't shocked. I guess I learned something. That when he grew up, even though they were literally 2 miles, 3 miles from the beach, they never left the projects. That was their world.
But I think when Mel says that too, like I'm serious about that. Like you're a wrestler because it's something you identify with, right? It's a true story. Like Mike and I knew each other from college, and we wrestled all through high school and college, and it was a defining part of our personality. And you kind of just meet another person from that background, right? In that context, switching, and you're just like, oh, I get this guy.
Yeah.
And that's what it's like.
Even when I was in Tokyo and I went to
on
the dojo and met the wrestlers, you just vibed with them instantly.
Yeah.
And it's been really important for me to show that. And I'm glad to meet someone like Mel, too, because it's important to show that you can still stay authentic to yourself and be successful. I'm still in the boardrooms. I'm on public boards. I'm running a large company. I'm doing all these things, and I'm still dressing the way that I want to dress. I still present the way that I want to dress. I still know there are certain things I shouldn't be saying in certain places, but for the most part, like, I'm authentic to myself, and that's something that I'm really proud of. And it's cool to show other young cats that, like, you don't have to switch up. You can still be you. I remember watching this thing. I was like maybe like 11 to 12 years old, and I saw 50 Cent pull up into a boardroom with like a tank top, chains, do-rag, and I was like, man, that's power. Because when you are good at something and you bring value, you can represent yourself authentically.
That's one of the things, like, I take pride in, like, dressing the way I dress, looking the way I look. And that came from, you saw 50, but mine was from Jay-Z when he had that line. He said, fuck. He said, no, not a business. Ooh, Mike, no rap lyrics. I love that. Man, it's like, I wore do-rags on MTV. I made them love you. Like, so find that song and just play that clip in it. But that was my moment, right? Yeah. Like, it was just like, damn, Jay-Z, like, on MTV with do-rags. Like, at the time, do-rags wasn't a thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just being himself, and he was so big that they just had to accept him and understand him. So, like, for me, that's, like, where this brotherhood came from with us, right? Like, I've met so many black people who, because they ended up in this world, they, like, changed to, like, conform to I wouldn't even say dumb, because they're not, like, they're literally, like, half black in a weird way. You'll get it
I'm
later.
a lot of suntan.
But, like, I've met so many black guys that I've seen. I could call out 6 of them from Zero Bond right now, but I won't. who they think because they ended up here, they gotta speak a certain way, walk a certain way, and it's like, yo, my culture is cool. Like being black and being from the hood is actually cool and dope. We went through a lot of shit, but, like, we're not bad. Like, we had bad situations. And let me introduce you to, like, me, so you can realize the next person you meet like me, Everett, is actually dope too. So, like, I take them to the hood to meet, we're
Mike, you in the hood, bro?
They
stands out like a sore thumb, but he goes.
Friend of Flatbush.
So, like, we're doing Flatbush Day with Flatbush, right? It's not even that. Like, some of my most hood friends come to the brunch. Like, so I just love that, and that's why we started the podcast. I just love that, like, being able to mesh the both worlds and realize that I could learn a lot from them and they learn a lot from me. And then you realize, oh shit, we're brothers. We're literally, like, the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, same jokes. We laugh at. And we have people, they have really rich friends who they would not hang out with because they're just not the same. Like, I have really poor friends that I won't hang out with that we're not the same. I have rich friends that I just won't hang out with. So it's just like, you realize, man, like, no matter what walk of life you're from, like, be yourself, and, like, you'll find those friends in that group that are just like you, whether they're poor, rich, black, white, Jewish, like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I take great pride in, like, just being myself, you know what I'm saying? And teaching Mike how to dress, like.
I tell you what I saw today, though. Speaking of you guys, he's a little older. Pathfinder, Snoop. Snoop is at the Olympics. He carried the torch as part of the parade. That guy, and he was on our podcast, he was on an early guest, and he was awesome. But that story was, he realized I was the brand. I am authentic. And he has kept that joy and funniness and toughness and cockiness and whatever that mix is that makes Snoop Dogg Snoop Dogg. I mean, he's just, he's fucking 50 plus, and he's out there with the torch having fun, going to announce.
It's a superpower, man.
Yeah.
Like, when you are authentic to yourself, like, I stand out, right? Because I know there's not a lot of cats like me, so I stand out. I'm memorable to people, and it's been a superpower because I kind of cut my teeth in marketing. And marketing, the power of marketing is really just understanding people, how to motivate people, how to make people feel something. That's a big part. The more and more you can understand all different types of people. Like, I've been in the hood, I've been in Beverly Hills, I've been all over the world. And so I just pick up on all these different things and understand all these different things. Like, we can talk about different countries on the plane because we visited these places, and it just gives you that superpower. And the one thing that I would say to anybody that's watching this that feels like they can't be themselves, what happens is, and you see this with a lot of cats, is that they forget who they are. Like, they start by just like pretending. Like, they pretend, and then it just becomes you.
Yeah.
And you forget who you were in the first place. And it's crazy. I meet guys and I'm like, yo, like, blink twice. Like, are you good?
Yeah.
Like, just get out, you know what I mean? And it's like, no, that's really who they are now.
Yeah.
That it's funny, you remind me of something, but I think Jim Carrey might have been that actor, but when they method act and they go into a character deep, and I can't remember which character it was, but it took him months to get out of that character after the movie.
It was the comedy Man on the Moon. No, something.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
it was the Andy Kaufman movie.
Yeah. It was Andy Kaufman.
Movie, and
Man on the
it
Moon.
really messed with him because he went into this thing, and it's what Everett's saying, where it's like you believe it after a while. Your narrative changes, and then you're not who you were
Look
anymore.
at the guy who's now the Republican vice president, right? He's changed his name 3 times.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Like 3 times. Like, that's a man who, listen, he had trauma growing up. I'm trying, but like, you wonder, do you know who you are? He keeps becoming someone completely different. And so it's hard to figure out, is there any authenticity there?
Pulling off this in your superpower in marketing, right? And we're going to get to Kickstarter, but I just want to like explore a little bit also, like, how did you find that superpower in marketing? And how did you get to where you are now? I know you were at Artx, you were CMO there. Like, fill in those blanks a little, both, chronologically and also just philosophically.
Yeah, it's a long story, but a quick story. So I was selling drugs. My mom found them, and she was like, I'm going to force you to get a job. And so, for the young people watching this, is thing called classified ads. Think of Craigslist, but less creepy, in a newspaper. And she found this like marketing assistant role. She finds this role in the classified ads, and she literally calls them up and was like, yo, my son needs to interview here. And I go up there.
Shout out to your mom.
Yeah, shout out to her. Millicent, love you.
Shout out.
So she calls them up. She gets me an interview. And I actually had an interview with Chick-fil-A, and I love the number one is fire. And so I really wanted to work at Chick-fil-A. It was at the mall. It was girls.
Now Bojangles.
Now we Bojangles people. And so I really wanted to work that job, and the homies was working there. And she forced me to go to this job interview, and it was for like a junior marketing role. And I just picked up the marketing stuff super easy. I didn't even know.
Dope.
And the guy offers me a job. His name's Robert Coach. He changed my life forever because I was like this 14-year-old kid from the hood. And he was like, hey, can you start next Monday at 9 a.m.? And I'm like, nah, I got school. He's like, oh, do you go to VCU, which is like the local university? And I was like, nah, I'm in high school. And he still gave me the opportunity to work the job. I came in before school, after school, worked weekends. And that's how I learned marketing. That was early days learning marketing. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately got laid off from that job. And then that's when me and my family ended up homeless and all of that. But what's cool about that is that it gave me a skill set super early on. And so when I started my first company at 19, it was all about marketing. Mm-hmm. And most of the companies I've started as an entrepreneur have been marketing, and then working at different corporations and things like that. Like working at different companies, I took the shot to go to these tech companies and run marketing because that was like my superpower. So the companies I started as an entrepreneur were marketing based, and then the roles that I took were marketing based, head of marketing, VP of marketing, CMO.
So your first company at like what, 22 or something?
21,
right?
yeah.
That's super dope. So you go from, I would say, what, 16 being homeless, 17 getting this job, learning marketing.
No, I got the job at 14.
14, yeah.
And then lost it, and then 16.
started this company at 19, sold it at 21.
Yeah.
What did that feel? How much did you sell it for, if you could disclose it?
Yeah, we sold it. I've told this publicly. It was $1.2 million.
So selling your first company at 21 that you built 2 years earlier, thinking back like, fuck, I was just homeless. What did that feel like?
It felt,
that somebody even wanted to buy it.
It felt amazing at first. Like, I built it with a couple cats I knew from school at Virginia Tech, and when we sold it, and I learned the hard way about capital gains and all that. But
you think you're rich until you pay tax, man.
Yeah, so like it was really like 600 something after, and then we had to divvy it up. But anyways, I was able to get a house for my mom.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I bought a Porsche. Like, it was cool.
Of course you bought a Porsche.
Hey,
Definitely from the hood. Got 200 grand left, 100 to this Porsche.
And then we're broke again.
Yeah.
Goddamn, we got looking good.
Yeah.
My first car was a Jaguar 19.
Oh, yeah.
And that was literally like all the money I had.
All the money. Bro, I didn't have much left after that. But in hindsight, maybe a year later, I found out that same company got flipped for a lot more. And it was like, wow, that was a bad
Like
move.
how much more?
It was like 15, 16x more.
Damn.
So, and like it happened like a few months after, and it was the guy that bought it was a friend of my co-founder's dad who bought it.
So he wasn't really a friend.
No, he wasn't.
He was a shark.
friend. Yeah, but he flipped that, and he already knew where he was flipping it to. But you know, it was a valuable lesson, and it made me jump and go to Silicon Valley because as soon as I found that out, probably less than a month later, I dropped out of school again and went to Silicon Valley.
What was that experience like? Because I remember growing up too, right? I had a couple dreams when I was broke. And one of my dreams was like, yo, I'm going to get 200 grand and move to Silicon Valley and invest in the next Facebook. That's how I was going to get rich.
Yeah. I mean, I had a different approach because I didn't have $200 to invest.
I didn't have it neither. I was just saying that was like the dream.
The
I'm
dream.
like, somehow I'm going to get 200 grand.
A dream and a fantasy.
And move. It's a fantasy.
Yeah.
But what was your approach?
Yeah, so I have an operator approach, which is probably, I tell people like you that are like investors and things like that are usually going to end up way more wealthy than me. I like to build, man. I like to be an operator. So I came into Silicon Valley with this mindset of being an operator and learning. Mm-hmm. And so I started working for this guy, Sean Ellis. Have you ever heard of growth hacking before? Mm-hmm. He coined the term growth hacking. And I went to be his head of marketing. I was making like $40K a year, bro. I was living like in a studio apartment with another grown man. Like it was like the size of probably like your guest bathroom. Like it was like so small. And I did that because I just wanted to learn the ropes. I wanted to learn about all of the equity, et cetera, et cetera. And so I went out there and grinded it out. But yeah, I
How long you stayed out there for?
I was between Silicon Valley and Orange County because the founder was from Orange County for like 2 years. Then I moved to LA.
Yeah. I'm a builder too, like that. Like have that mentality, right? Mike's more investor, I would say. You know what I'm saying? Like in terms of our approach to it. Yeah. But how did you get to Artsy? Because that was a really cool role, cool company, right? You were CMO there when I don't know if you came in as that or you just
I
left
came in as
that.
CMO.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So interesting story. I was CMO of this startup called Skirt in LA. That got acquired. And it was backed by Upfront Ventures, Mark Suster. I don't know if you know those guys. And so that company got sold. While I was at Skirt, I had started a company called Pop Social. I also had a marketing firm, Millicents. And at that point, those companies were scaling, you know, doing millions of dollars a year, very profitable. And then Pop Social being the most profitable company. And what Pop Social did was basically automated reaching new audiences on Instagram for people. So instead of putting thousands of dollars into ads, we'll automate engagement so you could spend $50, $60, $70, right? Instagram didn't like that, obviously, right? They want people spending money on ads, and so they changed things and like literally revenue. We went from like 8-figure profitable revenue to like revenue just sharply declining.
It's shocking how much power the giants have.
Oh my God. It was, I mean, we were printing money, right?
Wow.
Small team, you know, super profitable, et cetera, et cetera. I tell people all the time.
Do you have like multiple pages like on Instagram or like?
No, we did all the automation from your page, right? And so, I mean, you're talking about we're doing 8-figure revenue, small team. I tell people all the time, if you can find a company that like is subscription based, that just prints cash, you can even make more money than even being a public company CEO sometimes, right? Like it's just going to print money. But that revenue declined swiftly, and I was like, oh man, I need to figure out my next move. I had just started this company called Artx that was looking to disrupt the art world, and I was using the money from Pop Social to fund that, and it caught the attention of Artsy, and so I spoke to the CEO about Artx, and he was like, I'm actually looking for a CMO. And so that whole process started, and I was a long shot for the job. I was like 29 at the time. You know, Artsy's the biggest online art company, and so and I think I was going up against like the head of marketing at Etsy, you know, for the role, and I wanted out. He saw something in me as a young kid. I was fiery, I was passionate, and I love the arts. Yeah, I got the opportunity, man. They took a chance, and like that's my career, man. It's like it takes people. You got to be good at what you do, and you got to be able to execute. But also, people have to take chances on you too.
You know what's interesting? Just as a sidebar. So I'm 59. I worked the U.S. Army, Goldman Sachs, Fortress, Galaxy. 4 companies over a 38-year career. You're 30? 35, and you probably worked for 15 companies?
Nah, not that many.
10?
A few.
15.
Let's
Or
see.
he started a lot of companies.
Yeah,
I started a lot of companies. I feel like the companies I started are like kind of all, because it's all under one holding company. So like if you get a check from my company, it's all under ET Enterprises. But
I guess my point was that the world has shifted so much, even in one generation of people.
Oh, for sure.
That they say right now, a kid coming out of college will most likely work for 10 different places in his career, where when we came out of college, that number was probably 3.
Well, I don't have time to wait, man. Like, listen, I live my life every day trying to live the best version of my life every day. Literally. Like, when you guys said, yo, pull up to the Hamptons, I'm like, yo, I'm doing that because I feel like that's going to be the best version of my life, best version of my day. And so I look at my career like that. I'm not going to sit, like, I know how talented I am. I know what I can bring to the table. I know what I can do. And so I bet on myself every single time. And so if I feel like I have a better opportunity, I'm going to make that happen. But every place that I go, I make sure that I make an impact first.
Do you think that's a generational mind shift as well, Dave? Because these are the numbers. We could ask Perplexity or something what the average amount of jobs people have in their 20s versus when we were. I think that's pretty close. It's like 10 to 12 now, and we were like 3 to 4.
It's also the way businesses operate, right? I mean, LBOs. I mean, there's so many things that have changed the way how businesses are cutting back, hiring, right? It was more like Japanese system of like you worked for IBM, you were an IBM man, that was it for 40 years, right? The model was different as well as the generation, I would say.
Yeah, probably.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
But I wonder if people are coming up with your DNA a little bit more as a generational thing in Gen Z.
But see, that brings me back to the question we asked each other in this podcast, and now I want to ask you, right? Like, we spoke about Instagram, and is it positive? Is it negative? For me, I said there's a lot of negative that come with it, but for me, and I think, kids like us that's growing up, it's a positive, right? Because, and it's a negative to it too, but now you get to see from your phone, because when we grew up, we're roughly in the same age. When we grew up, we only saw the drug dealer on the corner, right? That's who you glorified. That's who had the Jordans. That's who had the car. That's who had everything you wanted, right? But now, like, these kids at 14 years old, they can see you. They can see me. They can see Dave. They can see Mike and choose who personality they like or who business they like better. So it's like, what's your take on social media's impact in, like, our communities? Is it a positive? Do you think that's why there's more entrepreneurial spirits now? Like, is it just the time? Like, what's your take on it?
Man, my take
I think I just gave you mine, right?
My take is super complex, man. My take is super complex, and I tell people all the time, I feel so fortunate. Like, I feel like people in our age range are, like, in this very beautiful spot where, like, we weren't too young and dumb when social media really started to take off, right? We still had that analog experience, so we saw that.
Yeah.
But, like, a kid can completely ruin their whole lives before they turn 18 by doing something dumb on social media.
100%.
It's a very dangerous place. So it's like, it's beautiful because you can learn anything you want to learn. You can get inspired by all different types of people. It allows kids to feel comfortable being themselves. I remember, liking art and theater and music and all these different things. And like in the hood, I didn't feel comfortable embracing those things or those sides. And now it's cool to be a creative. It's cool to like that stuff. But growing up, I didn't feel like I could do that. So I love that people can see different routes and spaces for themselves. But the cons is man, like the pressure for people to be successful, to be something is insane. And you have so many people. I don't even feel like there's that many more entrepreneurs. It's just that people want to pretend to be entrepreneurs or like seem like they're popping or they have a lot of stuff going on social media. And it's like the people that are actually really doing the work is very few and far in between. And so it's so complex for me because I see the evils in all of that. And I also see the benefits in social media too.
And I 100% see the evils too. And it's like, you know, the same time you're glorifying an Everette, right? You could glorify fucking, I won't say, but like a rapper from the Bronx who's doing stupid shit, right? Who's appealing more to the hood. But I just think overall it broadens your ability to seek out what you want. You know what I'm saying? Versus like just being pigeonholed at like the guy on the corner. Huh?
Want a counterpoint?
Yeah, we'll love to hear.
It also narrows, right? Because an algorithm narrows at you in a sense. So you talk about broadening, but I would actually argue the other side of that.
Which is crazy. Can you elaborate on that more?
Well, it's just that as
because I know what you mean, but I want everybody to get it.
As they see your preferences, as they see your likes, as they see just how many seconds you hold on an image. Anything, right? They shape to what's going to be. So in a way, it boxes you in. It's when you go on Netflix and you just scroll for like 45 minutes and you're just and you can't get out of like into an explore mode often because it's shaping, you know. But it's that same thing.
So it's crazy. That's what Mike said, and that's what you said. They have and they killed your company. These giants have so much power.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? That the second they think they know what you like, that's all they give you. So you're right. It narrows everything for you. So I think the big takeaway from that is kids, look at some dope entrepreneurial shit. Look at Dave Barry. Look at Everette. Look at Mike. Look at things you want to do positive because the second you spend too much time on like a swimsuit picture, that's all you're going to get. The second you spend too much time on like somebody with a bunch of chains, that's all you're going to get.
Would you let your mom look at your reels?
I would.
I assume everything on Instagram is completely public.
How about you, bro?
No.
What it's showing you.
What it keeps showing you?
Yeah,
right.
What is it showing you?
I'm not saying.
So let me ask this in the context
and shouldn't
of tech.
there be a button? Shouldn't there be a button where you can reset it?
It should be, but it isn't 100%
should be a button where you can say, start me over. Because quite frankly, something as silly as you're trying to buy underwear online, next thing all you get is underwear ads.
It's a good idea, Mike.
It's a great idea.
Fucking Novo.
Everett, start a company, damn it.
Hey, man.
The button to restart your algorithm button.
So let me ask you, we're talking about platforms, we're talking about tech. I believe you. It's a great idea. It's a great idea. Research it. We'll bring it back on another pod. But no, because I want to talk about Kickstarter a little bit too. I mean, that's a big story here. He's CEO of Kickstarter. It's a big company, right? We talked about Artsy a little bit, not in depth, but I'm interested also in what is it? You bet on yourself, but what was it about Kickstarter that attracted you, right? I know you had to compete for that.
Yeah.
And how do you see yourself adding value and, you know, becoming a part of that? Like, what do you see with that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to keep it all the way 100, man. Like,
don't quit your job right here.
No. I'm not, Mel.
Listen, I'm done, man.
One thing a Richmond cat ain't going to do is fumble the bag. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna come on,
appreciate that, man. Appreciate that.
But listen, bro, after this podcast, I know a rich guy with a company that might, that guy should be my president, man. That's how it happens.
I love you, Kickstarter. I'm not going nowhere.
Yeah, come on.
Listen, keep it all the way 100. There's not many people that look like me, as young as I am, that gets the opportunity to run a global company like Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm. Boom.
You know what I mean? And
that's
so,
a fact.
To me, there's a lot that went into it because I'm so mission aligned with the company.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm so impact driven. I'm not driven by money.
Mm-hmm.
If I was, maybe I would be more investor and place my bets. I told you I like to operate.
Mm-hmm.
But like the mission at Kickstarter is so special. Like we literally help people's dreams come to life. We help new things come into the world that wouldn't have normally been there. And so to me, personally, there was so much alignment there. I also knew that with my skills as a marketer, as someone who's also very product centric, and as someone who's like just wholly optimistic, Kickstarter was at a point where, like, let's be honest, like, you know, the growth trajectory had flattened a little bit. And I knew that my skill set, and this is very important when you're looking at potentially taking a job, make sure that that's a job where your skill set is going to be valuable to that company, because you might be out of a job very, very fast. But more than anything, it's what I said first. The opportunity to be at this global company that's so impactful, that so many people know, and do that. I was 32 at the time when I was interviewing for the job. Like, it's a crazy opportunity. And so it's like you can't turn down that opportunity.
Let me talk a little bit about crypto and Kickstarter.
Yep.
Because when crypto started, 2017, Ethereum, the first use case was crowdsourcing money through token sales for new ideas.
Mike, hey, can we just like identify what Kickstarter's business model is, just so like we educate everybody? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, most people know what it is, but just like put it into
This
context.
is about to be a very interesting conversation as well. But just want people to know, like, Kickstarter is the largest platform for crowdfunding for any creative project. So, I mean, everything from films, technology, we were talking about Meta, the Oculus VR started on Kickstarter, Aura Ring, so many different films, so many different celebrities. Issa Rae started her show on Kickstarter, comics, books. And we were talking about it on the plane. You have projects that have $500 goals, and you've had projects that have raised over $40 million on the platform. So it's really the global place for any idea, any creative new thing to be brought into the world.
So just for me,
it's a platform for Shark Tank in lots of ways.
Yeah, so now I want to
people to invest.
Go to your.
Wait, I just want to ask something on this real quick, just so I can understand, and maybe one of the viewers. So when you say like the Oculus was like started being funded there, right? The Oculus belongs to Facebook, right?
Now.
Oh, so originally, that makes sense.
Palm Lucky.
But earlier, and we could cut this out if it's not something that. Earlier you said L'Oreal did a project there, right?
Oh yeah, I don't mind. Yeah, L'Oreal just
so like a company like L'Oreal, why would they launch a project on Kickstarter?
L'Oreal launched a project on Kickstarter because one of our biggest categories is design and technology. People want new gadgets, new things in technology, and they had launched the Color Sonic, which was a new way for people to dye their hair. Right, you just literally run this machine through your hair. It already mixes all the chemicals for you and dyes your hair. And so they knew that we had a large community of people that just want to try new things and buy new things. And so they launched it, and they quickly sold out and got everything that they wanted. And they wanted to test that out and bring it to.
That's cool.
Oh, wow, that's dope.
Yeah.
So go on to Mike's question.
So how many people on your platform?
We have over 23 million.
Wow.
23 million, right? So we have an idea. We want to pitch it. He's got 23 million people. The crypto version of that is, I've got an idea. Those guys, instead of signing up and buying small equity pieces, they're buying tokens, which is the exact same thing. It doesn't go through the same registration process. There's all these different legal registrations that you do in crowdsourcing, which is different than an IPO, which is different than a private fundraise. And so the SEC's got all these boxes you've got to fit in.
Right.
And crypto is trying to just jumpstart the whole thing. And so there's been a big fight. But we're going to get crypto legislation soon in the next administration, Republican or Democrat. So how do you transform your company when, like, the challenge is coming?
Yeah,
right?
So just to clarify, Kickstarter is not equity-based crowdfunding. We call it reward-based crowdfunding. So people, when they're giving, they're either donating money or they're giving money for what we call a reward, right? So like Oculus or L'Oreal, people actually got that product for the money that they were given, right? So that people aren't getting a piece of that company. So we don't get too much in that. What I will say is that we have something.
You could.
Yeah, we have the creative crowdfunding protocol that we have, which is like kind of like a Kickstarter Labs, the subset of Kickstarter that is working and looking at blockchain technology and how it can be helpful for crowdfunding, right? And working with different crowdfunding organizations to help them build technology and build into the future. And so that's kind of our bet there. And so, you know, we'll see how that goes along. But right now, I'm very, very focused on the core competencies of
what's
what
the
Kickstarter
average
does.
donor? I'll call them donors now
Yeah.
since they're not buying equity. What's the average donor?
I think
check?
our average back, we call them backer. I think our average backer is probably like $100 and something.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you do surveys for customer satisfaction? Like, let's just say someone's doing a documentary. I'm like, I'm $100 in that thing. Or
Yeah.
someone's doing a cool
Yeah.
art project in a city that's going to come and go, and I'm $100 in that thing.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever reach out to the people that backed them and said, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, we've done all different types of surveying and stuff like that. What we found is that we have two very different types of backers, right? We have one set of backers that are like, they don't give a shit about the person or what the cause or anything. They just want the product, right? Like, I want that Oura ring. I want that new charger. I want this new thing, right? This new comic book and things like that. And so it's very like transactional in nature. On the other side, and this is to me is like the most beautiful part of our community, are people that just want to support entrepreneurs, creative people. Like, I think that's so beautiful that you just want to see these things come into the world. And I think that's what makes Kickstarter so special, is that a large part of our community are those people.
Yeah, you know, as I'm sitting here as a philanthropist as well, you could actually think about yourself and say, hey, let me take some portion of my philanthropy budget and just give it to all these people that are trying. Because I tell you what, it is so hard to start a business.
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially if you don't come from wealth, if you don't come from network.
Right.
It's just brutally
Yeah.
freaking hard.
And in a sense, this shortcuts
It's
some
almost
of the,
impossible.
shortcuts some of the complications too, with like regulatory documents, partnership. You simplify everything, right? And you just kind of create a crowdsource, and it's pretty amazing.
That's my second idea of the day. I'm gonna actually take a little bit of money and start.
Well, I
giving
got something for you. We have a program called Forward Funds where we take money. When is this coming out?
This podcast?
Yeah, this one.
Next Wednesday.
Okay. I think by the time we'll launch, we're launching something with Google. They will put money directly into the hands of technologists that are launching new products and companies on our platform. So we actually have something called Forward Funds, where people can donate money, and that money is distributed out to entrepreneurs and creators on the platform. So we can work with nonprofits, individuals, organizations, corporations.
But no, I was saying, what's the application approval time framing for you guys to be like, this is not a scam, this is something real, and we approve it? Because you approve every product that you guys.
Oh, we don't approve everything.
Oh, okay.
And,
Not the product. Sorry, every project that you guys decide
Has been approved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we don't approve everything. So we have machine learning, which will automatically approve some projects, and then other projects we have to like manually approve. And we have probably the best trust and safety team in the world. And like now we're using things also like SIF Science, which I don't know if you know, but it's
I don't know.
tool.
What is that?
SIF Science is a tool to like basically detect fraud. Right, so it's like it matches and figures out if someone is very likely to be fraudulent, or like match them with other acts of fraud. It's
fucking crazy,
dope, man. It's honestly, SIF. You guys are changing the game. Like, it's really like, I think it's caught up to like 90% of like potential fraud on Kickstarter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where's that? That's a huge. That's a thing for another day.
Yeah.
Can I ask? So there's fraud on the one side. Do you curate it all, or it's non-curated? In other words, if you're legitimate, you're allowed to be on that platform?
Yeah, we curate from like, we have this thing called Projects We Love. And so that's people from our outreach team. So we have literal teams dedicated to categories. So we have a film team, we have a games team, a comics team, a design and technology team. Like we, everything you can think of, right? And so they are manually looking at projects that they like to curate and projects we love, or put in emails and things like that. But then also just from the algorithm, like if you're killing it, like we're still a business at the end of the day. If you're like killing it, you got a great product, great idea, and it's driving things home, it's gonna go up. And I tell people whenever they launch a Kickstarter project, I'm like, yo, first day, go hard. Like, go hard in the paint, get as many people, your friends, family, whoever, to back it, because then it hits the algorithm,
I see.
and then boom, that audience of 20 plus million people that's using the site is going to see that,
Yep.
and can potentially back that and can go completely viral.
Do you spend more time marketing to the creators or the funders, the backers?
So it's interesting that you said that. So my first kind of couple years, I'm coming up on my 2-year anniversary in a couple months. We've been really focused on creators, because creators bring in, like, especially large creators. Like, you think of, like, think about a Mr. Beast being on Kickstarter. He's bringing his own audience onto the platform, right? And so it's important to, like, get those what we call high revenue creators that can bring their audiences to the platform, because they're the money makers. And so we've been building out tools, resources, new business lines to serve them, right? There's going to be a pivot in 2025 where we're going to really become a lot more hyper focused on the backers, right? Making them more engaged, growing that backer community, because that's just going to attract more and more people to come to our platform, because it's like, hey, you already have 10,000 people, but we can bring you another 10, 20, 30,000 people that's going to support your idea. So it becomes that much more attractive. I want Kickstarter. It's already the #1 place to launch something new. I want it to be, without a doubt, the best place for a creator, entrepreneur to launch something new.
Yeah. I think this is really super interesting relative to what we talked about with the platforms before, right? The amount of control that Google and Meta, TikTok, right, the few giants have.
Yeah.
This is really interesting because it's coming at it from a different angle, which is funding creators, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're engaging people. People are talking to people, right? You're creating a community. It's like sneaky powerful,
And we need
actually.
to lean more
And I
into
never
it.
thought about it that way, but when you talked about engaging the creators first, that's where I go with that thought. That's interesting.
And what's beautiful about this that I don't think a lot of people realize, in an age where the algorithm is like, you post something and like 2% of your audience sees it.
This is crazy.
Kickstarter, every time you launch a new project, every single person that's ever supported you on the platform gets notified.
Wow.
People always ask me, they're like, why do people come back and continue to launch products on Kickstarter? We have billion-dollar companies that are launching new products on Kickstarter, right? And I say, because that is a ready-made audience, right? I would rather have 20,000 people or followers on Kickstarter than 1 million followers on Instagram. Because those 20,000 followers, I know those people financially support me. They go to war for me. These are my super fans.
Yeah.
And this is who I want to tap into every time.
Mike, you plugging into that, right? I'm saying like Kickstarter taking on a platform role out of that space.
Well, I mean, I just keep thinking, this is what all of the crypto comes to. We invested in a company called Republic Crypto.
Yeah, I know.
That's trying to do a version of this tokenized, and they're doing it with the right regulation, and it's the crowdsourcing for new ideas.
Yeah.
And they're starting to do films. They just did their first crowd sale of a minority stake in a EPL, English Premier League team, not Division One, I think Division 2 or 3. But there's such an idea for broader equitization or broader participation in capital markets through people in small checks. Like it's always been the rich guys get in. And so having a platform that people trust, right? Having a platform that people migrate to and start building community in is unbelievably powerful.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's how do you take that platform and think out of the box, right?
Yeah.
You could have 3 different divisions. You could have, hey, this is our philanthropic. We're just supporting awesome ideas.
Yeah.
Right? This is our, hey, we're taking equity stakes in awesome ideas.
No, it's interesting. It's really interesting because you have such deep connections.
We try to buy. There was
multiple pools, right? In a sense, this creator with these backers, and then you're kind of putting that, you're aggregating that, and
there was like a third
getting
place.
synergies
There
out
was
of
like
it.
a
It's really
third place
interesting.
competitor to Kickstarter. I'm trying to remember the name.
Indiegogo,
Indiegogo, maybe?
No,
or maybe
third one. Third place, not second.
Let me ask you.
But all the crypto-
GoFundMe.
But all the crypto
No?
companies migrated around this idea because it's a lot of the same idea. It's the democratization of being able to bring in resources to ideas. So it's democratization in 2 ways, right? Broadly, people don't have the capacity to see great ideas, right? And so how do we show them great ideas, and how do we let them investing great ideas.
with my investor hat on and just going, wow, right? Do you guys, you get to see all, I would say, good, bad, really dope things that you just have from running a company and just being part of the world and being who you, marketing for so long. I know you've seen things that's like the Oura ring, right? Like before anyone else saw it, it was like, this is going to be it. Do you guys have a department, or if not, one a department that would invest in some of those companies that you think is like, you know?
Are you a merchant bank? Do you put capital into any of this stuff or not?
So no, because this is the thing. Like, what makes Kickstarter so great also puts a little bit of a ceiling on us is that we're a public benefit corporation.
Right.
So we do not maximize for profits. We maximize for impact. And so, yeah, probably if you're running a company that you're trying to maximize profits, it'd probably be smart to make some bets, and especially some of the companies that we get. Man, I see companies on the platform where I'm like, I want to invest in that.
You're our third public benefit corp CEO.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Who's the other two?
Warby Parker was
Oh,
one.
Warby Parker, yeah.
And
the
Tom
woman.
from the...
No, the woman who had
Beauty
the
counter.
Oh, the beauty counter. But wasn't also Tom with the garbage recycling business?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Four.
Wow.
Yeah.
We got 4
Crazy.
PBCs.
4
Yeah.
PBCs.
Business Untitled. Try and have impact on the world.
Look at that.
Let me ask you some broader questions.
Yeah.
Mentors.
Mentors.
How'd you find them? Coming from Richmond.
You know what's interesting is like my mentors were just like watching people. Like I remember seeing Hove and Dame Dash on the cover of Black Enterprise when I was a kid.
This guy's my brother, bro.
Like that was powerful for me. Like I didn't know him, but like I literally grew up with him. Like 96 Reasonable Doubt, my first CD I ever bought. I remember like it was crazy. Like that was big for me, and it's like I've been able to like listen to him and others that have been influential to me throughout my entire life. Because I didn't really have mentors. I didn't really have people like that. But I appreciate Robert Coach, who gave me my first job at 14. I appreciate Sean Ellis, who gave me that first job in Silicon Valley. They weren't necessarily big mentors, but like I appreciate the opportunities. I think I didn't really get a true mentor until I took the job at Artx. The CEO, Mike Stibe, was like a real CEO, like a real, who took me underneath his wings. I told him, I want your job. You know, and I wouldn't advise anybody to tell their CEO that they want that job.
I disagree with you. I think the employees that I have that say, I want to be your job one day, those are the employees I love the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you want people with ambition.
Yeah.
You want people who have humility to say, I'm not ready yet, but I want it.
Yeah. And
So
there's an
next
honesty.
week,
There's an
everybody at
honesty in it.
Galaxy is walking up to Mike like, I want your job.
Yeah. Make sure you're driving value. You got to be
right.
in a place of leverage to do that, where you're valuable at the company to do that. But as you guys know, like CMOs aren't often made CEOs, right? And so I told Mike that, and he literally started to take time for me, help building me up to learn how to, because I've been CEO of smaller companies, but not for a larger organization. And so he took that time. Also during that time, I knew that at my next move, I wanted to be a CEO. So I also started doing coaching and getting mentorship from Chad Dickerson, who was the former CEO of Etsy. So he took them public to a multi-billion-dollar company. So that was really important to me. But a lot of my mentorship is like, I just observe people. Like, I think Donald Glover, hella dope, man. Like, hella dope as a creative. I look at different people. I get inspired by different people. And that's really where mentorship really comes in for me.
I once gave a speech on mentorship, and it was steal mentors. Steal them. They don't even know they don't know you're their mentor. Right? You get them in books. You get them on TV. You get them just watching them. You also ask people.
Yeah.
The most 4 powerful words in the English language are, I need your help.
Yeah.
Right? If I say, shoot, I need your help. Often people, they try their best to help you. Sometimes they're like, dude, no way, I can't. But mostly they try to help you. And so don't be afraid to go up and say, hey, I need your help.
I think another powerful thing you said that I hope resonates with everyone, so I want to say it again. Don't take the job if you don't think you could add value to it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's a lot of people, like, just when I took the Senior Vice President of A&R position at Republic, I knew exactly what my value was. I knew I could go sign. I knew I could go to places that the other executives couldn't go. I know I could connect with kids the way the other executives couldn't. So I knew right away that I was gonna win at that job because I knew the value I brought. I scoped out everything. I was like, I'm the only person that could do that. And shout out to Monty Lipman, he saw that too. So like, I've never said that out loud or even thought of it, but I think that's a very, very important lesson. Don't just take the job to take the job. Take the job with the, knowing, whatever it is, the job, the opportunity, with knowing that you could add some real value to it.
And you know what else that does? And
you will
I know
get fired.
It's fire. And another thing I've read about you is work-life balance, right? And you're very big on work-life balance, and it's a mission-driven company. And I've always thought, and I've always told my employees, partners, work-life balance comes with the responsibility to know that when you're actually working, you are driving value, right?
Yeah.
It's not just like, balance isn't just like, I'm kind of working, right? And so why don't you talk about that a little? Because I know you're really passionate about that.
Yeah, I'm super passionate about that because I literally used to have no work-life balance. You know, I would work 19, 20-hour days. I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't eating healthy. I wasn't in the right space mental health-wise. Like, it was just bad. Like, I found a lot of success. But I find that people a lot of times burn themselves out by, like, working harder, not smarter. And I'm really big on working smart and, like, having real concentrated time to get things done. And I realized the more you're taking care of yourself, the more you're living a healthy lifestyle, you just are just so much more productive.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if you all knew this, but Kickstarter has a 4-day work week.
I did.
We were the first major tech company to launch a 4-day
I found
work
that
week.
on the plane. That's
Yeah,
pretty dope.
4-day work week. And so, we work Mondays through Thursdays. I'm off today. It's Friday, I mean, I work 7 days a week in some capacity, but it's just our employees, how much harder they go for us because we value their lives and their work-life balance. It's just really beautiful to see. And obviously, if you're going to have that, if you're going to emphasize work-life balance, that means your talent has to be on point. You can't have any mediocre
Can't
players.
work 4 days a week and suck those 4 days.
Yeah. You got to have top talent. So that puts a lot of pressure on you, your HR team, your recruiting, all of that, and doing that, at scale.
Yeah.
So,
can I just say something? Because I think that's a really important point also, because sometimes we talked about Gen Z before, whether it's them or not, it's like it can get drifty about like you got to show up, work your butt off, add value. And sometimes I don't think those two things connect, right? Like, and the discipline to say, look, you're not cutting it here. You may even be trying really hard, right? Maybe you just don't have the aptitude, whatever it is, but that discipline is part of the system, and there's nothing wrong with it either, because it's like healthy and creative destruction, I guess. That's what I would say about it.
I look at it like relationships. Like, if you're dating someone and they're not the one, you're not going to marry this person, let them go.
I had the 3-date rule when I was growing up. After 3 dates, if they might be the one. And if they're not, get out at 3 dates. And then after a year, I actually broke up with a girl on our 1-year anniversary who I liked a ton. I just know I was going to marry her. And I thought, this is not fair to either of us anymore.
Yeah.
So Mike has 3-date rule and the 1-year rule.
Mike has a ton of rules.
They work. Those rules work. Damn it. The 3-day rule, the 1-year rule.
Wait, so
Book it.
we don't want to keep you too long. I want to tell a funny story that's embarrassing to me, and then we'll ask for the ounce of gold. So we met in Zero Bond, like, I don't know, maybe 2 months ago. And
I was about 20 pounds heavier.
That was definitely not. But
You're looking good. You're looking good.
Thank you. You too in that shirt.
Continue.
And a friend of mine introduced us briefly, and we started talking, 2 black guys at Zero Bond. It was just dope. Started talking about, like, whatever we was talking about, real estate, food, Kickstarter, art.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm the CEO of Kickstarter. And I'm like, yeah, I live in this weird world sometimes, and I legit did not know what Kickstarter was, right?
Shoes. You're thinking
No,
shoes.
I don't know what I was thinking. I knew it wasn't shoes, but I'm just like, and then he was like, I said about the podcast, and I think we both realized, I was like, oh shit, wait, you're coming on the podcast. But at the time, I didn't look up the company. And he was like, yeah, I'm coming on a podcast. And he's like, has little cool glasses on and like just looking at me. And I was like, after we left, I kicked myself in the ass for about, I'm an overthinker. Everybody knows that. I'm like, this guy thinks I'm a fucking moron. Or he just thinks I'm like full of shit.
Or arrogant.
How do I not know what his company is?
Or just arrogant.
Or just either which way, I'm just like in my head, I'm asking people, have you heard of Kicks? They're like, yeah, my friend is like, no. I'm like, all right, well, maybe. I'm just like, this guy thinks I'm a fucking idiot. And I almost got your number to call you. I remember I told you this story? To be like, yo, bro, I really wasn't bullshitting. I'm like a moron at times. So
let me ask you a question. Why didn't you get his number and call him?
I don't know. I just figured I'd just look more dumb like at that point.
My advice is when you feel like that, you pick up the phone and call someone because it just makes you
I wasn't sure what he felt like.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If it makes you feel better, it normally makes him feel better. That's just my advice.
But we
I only know that
connected,
because I did something stupid at work
for
recently,
sure.
and I was like, I picked up the phone, I called the guy, I said, dude, I'm sorry I said that. And he was like, it's all good.
You gave this is Dave's thing. Dave,
Right. No,
do your
come
thing.
on. No way. What do you mean?
I would say one
Yeah,
thing
go on.
to that is that I didn't take that any way. I was appreciative that I met another brother that was an entrepreneur, that had good taste, loved art, and that I had a connection with, that I could feel like we came from a similar background. So for me, man, I always lead with love, man, and lead with grace. Like, it's never a thing. And like, it's not like I'm like, I'm the CEO of Apple and you're like, I don't know what that is. You know what I mean? Like, Kickstarter still has a long way to go. Like, we're established, we've done our thing, but like, that's inspiring to me because it means like, man, we still have so much more work to do.
But the takeaway from this is that you got a fan and a friend now. And
Appreciate it, G.
You know
3
what I'm
fans
saying?
and friends.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Mike.
Mel, why don't you ounce of gold it?
Ounce of gold, Mel.
First of all, I just love that you look like a soccer player now.
It's so funny. All I'm thinking of
You know
is
what I'm
like
saying?
Messi coming up
David
and hugging him.
Messi.
Chest bumping him.
He doesn't know because he didn't know me before, but I know.
He had floppy
Yeah,
hair.
no.
He had
Yeah.
floppy hair.
Yeah, I saw the picture.
Yo, we got
Yeah.
this
upgrade, man.
We got Mike sent us this fucking AI app that tells you
Do not even start.
tells you your
Not even
age,
start.
right? So I hit the AI app. It says I'm like 33. Did it again. It says I'm 30. It hit me with 30 once. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Hit Dave. It said Dave is like 4
52.
years younger,
51.
6 years younger.
Yeah.
Hit Mike 72. I'm like, Mike is broken.
I
hit
shorted
it
the
again.
fucking app.
69.
I literally shorted that company the next day. That's what good investors do. All right, ounce of gold, Mel.
Well, what's your ounce of gold for like the listeners, the young kids,
But you got to give the whole shtick about the ounce of gold.
I like Dave to do the ounce of gold, man. Dave, like,
Ounce of gold
you know
is what
I'm
we
saying?
leave our listeners with. Kind of like you've said so many wise things today. We've had
So
an
many,
amazing
bro.
discussions, so
Yeah.
many. But we always like to say, like, okay, what's a takeaway if you want to sum it up and just leave the audience with something? We call it the ounce of gold. And before we do that, we give you an ounce of gold.
Wow, look at that,
So
y'all.
it's an actual
real
ounce of gold.
Don't sell it, at least for another couple of years.
I won't, and I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate this time with you guys. This has been really dope.
Same
I-
here, man. For real, for real.
I think the one piece of advice or ounce of gold I would give is all good things come to those who stay true. So just be yourself, stay authentic with yourself. The best version of yourself is who you are. And so if you're trying to pretend to be someone that you're not going to be your best self. And also being true and staying true is like treating people well. Extending this. Xander came through, showed me love. Mike, you showed me love. Mel, like everybody showed me love. And like, I just want to return that. I'm always in this space of like, I always want to do good by people. And I feel like by doing good by people, that good returns, And so like, I can't tell you how often I've had situations where I've gotten opportunities because someone said something good about me, And so just like be good to people, man. That's my ounce of gold. Be
I love
good
that.
to people.
I love it.
I want to add to that real quick. That's it's been 7-8 years. It feels like a lifetime with these two, literally day in, day out, right? But they're kids who are like weirdly like my brothers and sisters, but nieces and nephews at the same time. They have all amazing kids. Like, I'm not just saying that. Like, like the one rule, I was like, yo, how did you guys get such good kids? And my daughter's a great person too. And again, this was implemented 8-9 years ago, however long. and Mike and Dave both was like, I have one rule for them: be nice to people. And they're the nicest, like most polite, like kids you'll ever meet. And a lot of that rubbed off onto my daughter, and she's nice. So it's like what you're saying is like, and that's why people love me, you know, like because I'm just nice. I don't pretend to be nice. I enjoy being nice. I enjoy just being liked. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that is a really good ounce of gold. I really appreciate your time. We appreciate your time.
Let me wrap up because I want to say one thing. We want to be really thankful for our sponsor. We only have one sponsor. It's JM Bullion. They give us the gold. You know, we didn't do this for a commercial reason. We did it to try to, like, you know, bring knowledge to people. And they called us and said, hey, we like what you're doing. We like that you like gold. We think gold's going up. They're the largest, you know, retail provider of gold bullion and coins and silver. And so look them up, JM Bullion. Guys, thanks a ton for believing in us. Everett, you've been awesome.
Appreciate it.
Love you, buddy.
One more thing we got in common. By the time I was 17, we were evicted like 7 times. Crazy.
It's crazy, man. We definitely gonna catch up more for sure.
All right, peace out.
You.